We see the house number on the right. So here we are in the living room, looking into the kitchen. There's a very fine table here with a very special bowl on it, beautifully decorated. And swinging around to the right, we see a couple of comfortable chairs, a wall hanging, bookcase, exercise bicycle, the owner, Ed, large screen TV set, bookcase, fireplace, reproduction of painting, and down in this corner a very nice rocker. Ed's going to take us outside, so we'll take a look at a deacon's bench that he tells me comes from the East Coast. Ed, what can you tell us about the deacon's bench?
Well, it's from a farm in Ohio, as nearly as I can tell. And that's about it. I have no idea what the value is. It is an antique. I think it's more than 100 years old.
All right. There we are, the deacon's bench. And a little shot of the backyard. Looking back into the living room from the kitchen, we see a small room with an ironing table, a very nice oak dining room set. We'll come over here and look at the kitchen. Standard electrical appliances, but something new has been added in the form of a new range hood with microwave oven. And we have a special electric cooktop and some standard ovens. Ed's going to take a moment and tell us a little about a very special bowl here on the counter.
This is from an Ohio farm, and this is an antique bowl for mixing bread. And this is, of course, a modern bread maker here.
All we need now is the person who does the job. Looking towards the front hallway, we see a very nice little table, which Ed tells me is called the mail table. And on the wall, 3 watercolors. The first one you said
This
is
is our daughter Margaret.
Is your daughter Margaret. The middle one is?
One that she painted.
Yes, and on the right?
That's me as a young man.
Ah, portrait of the artist as a young man. Alright, the stereo on a chest of drawers. A interesting goose statue behind the couch. Another painting. Does this have a history, Ed?
Not particularly.
Okay. And in the corner, a bookcase. A very nice carved, perhaps footstool on the floor, inlaid with, is it abalone it's inlaid
Mother
with?
of pearl.
Mother of pearl, yes, okay. And then you had a piece on the table here. What's this, please?
This is by a Hopi potter named Frogwoman.
If you were to turn it towards me so I could see the bottom, just hold it there, that's fine. If it's stationary, I'll get a picture of Frogwoman. Okay.
And then in the corner of the fireplace, the wood carvings from Oberammergau we bought in 1930.
Okay, I'm just zooming in on those now.
We have this Danish table here that either operates all together or separates out.
Uh-huh. And in the corner, a comfortable chair. Can you tell me, please, about the violin?
Well, we bought it in 1930 in Düsseldorf, Germany, and it was old at that time. And we've had it appraised, but I can't find the appraisal to know what the value is. And I'm not sure. If it's a viola, then the viola was worth more than the violin. We had 3 instruments.
Ah.
And I gave away the cello when we moved.
Okay. They do take up a lot of space.
They do.
A nice Leland Stanford Junior chair here. Hutch or china cabinet with some fine pieces. And did you tell me that we had a chest of silver?
Our wedding silver, stainless steel.
Mm-hmm.
And of course this is an old cut glass punch bowl. It rarely gets used.
That's a pity.
Yeah.
And also on the table here we have what? Another
bowl.
Another glass bowl.
And you've got the piano before?
Not yet. I'm
Not
going to
yet.
get the piano this time. Some nice plates on the wall. And a nice Yamaha piano here.
You'll see the 14.
That's about as far back as I can go without losing my power connection.
I can move it.
Could you put it back in the corner perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Let's start over here with you for continuity. Okay. So, here we are in what Ed says is his study, and we're looking down the hall and coming back into the room. Painting on the wall, 4-drawer steel file case, very nice painting. Did you say you got this through the Palo Alto Church?
Yeah, they had a display of local artists. This, and then you saw a painting in the previous room.
Yeah.
Both of them are abstracts.
The master in his study, and we see a typewriter and a copier. Useful accessories these days. And then a gift from, was it your daughter? A Macintosh computer?
No, but she gave us the instructions for it.
Okay, those are equally valuable. And then around to my left, a very fine oak roll-top desk and a small typewriter beside it. Guess that might be called a portable electric typewriter. Coming down the main hall, I was attracted to some things on the wall, and I asked Ed to tell us about them. What are these, Ed?
Well, these are going away presents after 17 years in South Bend. The one down here is Lois, a thank you note from a family that she helped. She was a school psychologist there. And pray God that you accept the bits and pieces in humility and wonder and never question and never regret. Bits and pieces. And this one is the most effective letter I've ever written. Segregation was a problem in South Bend at that time. And I took our young son and the cleaning woman's kid to see his sister perform at the local school. And the kid was black, and they thought I was single-handedly going to integrate the school system. Later on, I had a big fight trying to establish a PTA, and the superintendent fought that bitterly. Well, this letter says in part that when we came to the community 5 years ago, we were sure that our neighborhood was a good, solid neighborhood of businessmen with a little sprinkling of college professors to give it that bohemian air. I believe in being God-minded, although I was raised in my town's best Presbyterian church. As I tell my children these days of indiscriminate ecumenicity, you'll probably get to know Methodists and Episcopalians and even Baptists. You may have to do business with them, I say, but that doesn't mean you have to invite them into your home or marry them. Even 5 years ago, there were probably people in Swanson Highlands who I wouldn't have wanted my 3-year-old daughter to marry, but at least we had a good neighborhood school. And then we got swallowed up by the school board with its pernicious concept of community schools. Before we knew it, there were children attending from across the highway whose community pool isn't even heated. Even worse, there were children coming across who didn't have a pool of any kind, heated or unheated. A parent can do his best to pass on to his children the sound values of their white Protestant Anglo-Saxon heritage, but he's fighting a losing battle when they must rub elbows and show school with the children from deprived homes like these. I'm told some of these children's fathers are even lawyers and physicians. Do we want our children exposed to backgrounds like these, rife with disease and persons who associate with criminals? A flood of letters, and one poor school teacher had to write on the board. Her kids were so disturbed by the letter. Satire.
Sometimes things like that can be pearls before the swine.
Yeah.
We've come down the hall to a guest room and started with a sewing machine, which is neatly reflected in this mirror. And as we pan around to the left, we see another small one that Lois uses for sewing. And on the wall, a tapestry. Tell me again about the tapestry, please, Ed.
Well, it's from Transylvania. I gave some assistance through the Center for Free Religion, and so they sent me this thing, and it's interesting because it flips over in reverse.
Ah, sort of like an Escher.
One way of doing it.
Yeah. Okay. And then behind you we have a small table with a stereo, and you said postcards to help your guests to remember there are other places to stay.
That's right.
Okay. On this wall, the Egyptian hieroglyphic alphabet, a nice lithograph from Transylvania, and Ed's stamp collection. Starting with the album that's furthest away from me, can you open a few of these and tell us what these are?
Well, this is 1938 to 1970. These are all unused plate blocks in here.
I'll need to get you to leave it open at a page so we can see that there really are stamps in this. Okay. That's fine. And these then are sorted by years?
Yeah, if the years show that it's since 1938 up to date. I stopped about mid-year this year collecting, but until that time it was complete.
Could I ask you to open the one nearest me on this one? Air Post.
Well, let's see. Here we are.
Wonderful.
And the air post is in back.
Yeah. Have you had these appraised?
No, I
Not as yet, but they do represent many years of collecting.
yeah, the kids are not interested, and I made double collections, so there'd be something for each one. But,
Okay. And the last one here on the table,
51 to 60.
1951 to 60. Okay. Very nice. Well, we're now in the master bedroom at the end of the hall, and as we pan around to the right, we see a nice chest, the clothes closet, a small TV set, a radio, the bed, and Ed to show us a particular piece he's very proud of.
Another antique.
And this one is a little stand with a single drawer, perhaps in pine or mahogany. What year did you think it came from?
Oh, I'm sure it's at least 100 years old because Lois is 82, and these were owned by relatives before, ancestors before that. So, 100 years plus.
Okay. Well, swinging around to the right, we see a little teak bookcase and a matching chair. Here we are in the hall, and here are a couple of photographs which Lois will tell us about. What are these, Lois?
This is Ed when he was studying at Stanford
Yes.
in 1957, 1958. And I was on the faculty of Stanford at the Department of Psychology and Counseling Center. And we didn't actually work together, but we
Well, I was
You
a-
knew each other?
I was a student and you were faculty. No, we were married then.
Uh-huh. And the two behind you, Lois? What are these two?
this is Larry. He must have been about 9 years old. And this is Ed, and we got amused because the child was looking at the father, and he's reassuringly putting his hand over his father's shoulders.
And the topmost one?
These are cousins. The occasion was the wedding for Walt Hobbs and his wife Joan. And Ed was on the fringe, and I was on the fringe just partly. So Margaret and her cousin Patty, and Steve, a cousin, and Larry, and this was the bridegroom. And we all got energetic and formed a pyramid.
Well, while we're in the hall, I asked Lois to tell us about some of the other things on the wall. The photograph, please.
This is our foster son, Richard, who was killed when he was 28 years old. It was a traffic accident, and he was just coming into his prime, and this picture sort of reflects some from his joy and pleasure. This picture was given to Margaret to take the picture for Richard, and he is appointed a star. And
Oh, yes, the International Star Registry.
yes,
So there's a star named in his honor.
that's right.
How nice.
And that's why we have these two things separate.
And near each other.
Yes.
Very nice. Could you tell me about the three painting or photographs that are facing me?
Well, this was Lauren when he was, he must have been about 21 or 22. And this was Richard, the child that was killed. And he must have been about 26, somewhere in there. And this is Margaret when she was 21. And we kind of grouped them together.
Very nice. Also in the hall is a collection of 4 photographs. And what are these, Lois?
This is Ed and Lois. All of the 4 pictures belong in a group. And the pictures were taken in Houston, Texas. This was taken when she was Probably about 19, something in there. And the interesting thing about this picture is that this characteristic thumb sticking out from the hand has been with her when she was a very tiny baby. This was Larry, as we called him at that time. He was taken by the trees in the backyard. We had a lot of trees in Houston, Texas, and this was at the door of the front door, and was taken with his father when he was very happy about the arrangement.
We've come back to the living room where Lois has found the quilt.
This quilt, the pieces were assembled by a cousin of Ed's, and I never knew a great deal about the piecing, but when the cousin moved from Indiana to Florida, then she wanted to get rid of the quilt, and we took the pieces and took them to a special needle person to take care of the necessities, and she worked for several months in doing the hand quilting.
Did you say you thought it had a special pattern, even if we don't remember the name?
Yes, there's a special pattern, and that has a special name, but I cannot recall it at this particular time. And when the quilt is photographed, I'm sure that somebody will come up with the name of the pattern.
We've come to the living room, and Ed and Lois are together. We're looking at a very special ring. What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's the engagement ring, and it had been my mother's, and she died by the time that Lois and I were married. And so Lois got that, and then of course we got the double ring ceremony with our wedding rings.
So you have a pair of matching rings,
Yeah.
each of you together. Okay. And perhaps this would be a nice way to end our visit to the Crane's house at 1696 Husted Avenue, San Jose, California. And today is November 7th, 1994.
Thank you.